title of his speech is The Bucket List. Take it away, Michael Dangerfield.
I live on a working farm. And one of the things I see every day in my walks around here is that we put plants in the ground, the seeds in the ground, they grow, we harvest them, and then we plow it right back on down to start over again. The great cycle of life. Well, I turned 70 this year, and I started thinking, it's getting closer to more I'm being harvested and plowed than I am being planted. And what do you do when you're thinking like that? Well, you make yourself a bucket list. Well, if you're going to enact a bucket list, you need three things. You need opportunity, time, and financing. Well, thanks to American Congress, we have tons of free money, and we all got our stimulus checks. That taken care of. Our son is now running 90% of our business. We have the opportunity. And the time came up in May 19th that COVID was at that point leveling on out. We could go to Colorado. Went to Colorado, and so let us take our first tale from the bucket list. Let's see what we got here. This is my brother, Pat. I'm the one in the red. That's Pat in the black. There has to be a little backstory to this. 5 years ago, April and I were driving in Arizona back to San Diego, and we stopped in a little town, and we got a phone call from all people. It's Pat's wife, Erica. And I was totally surprised. She never calls. And she says, Pat's undergoing an emergency heart operation. I went, wow, because that was amazing. My brother's always been the most active, athletic. He's a black belt in karate. He was a SEAL striker and just an incredibly energetic human being. How could this happen to him? I would go see Pat in about a month. April, I would go back to Golden, Colorado, which is a town west of Denver. And Pat looked awful. He had aged at least 15 years, and his brown hair is now white. And I said, Pat, would there be, what's going on? He says, well, there could be complications from the surgery, and there could be side effects from the medication. We'll see. Well, for 3.5 years, everything was fine. He pretty much recovered, which was really happy news for all of us. And then it started happening. He started getting complications and getting massive side effects. And I said, Pat, we need to come on out and see you. And he agreed. And that's when we started the trip. The very second, we landed on the 19th of May. And the very next day, I met Pat in a Denny's restaurant. We had breakfast and off we went. And our game plan was this, to go to every house that we had ever lived in that was in the range of where we were at, which is basically 20 miles. And ladies and gentlemen, we had a blast. It was so much fun. We were having memories, we were corroborating stories, and we were getting to know each other as friends because we really haven't been that close in our entire lives. At the age of 20, I was gone. We traveled all over. The most fun part was we talked about the divorce that my mother had when I was 11 and he was 8. And what happened is that we ended up moving from our little cracker box house to a little tiny apartment. And we saw the apartment, we were trying to figure out which apartment was, and it was literally 200 feet from my mom's work as a dental assistant. Just time of sharing, time of being together. We would go up to Boulder to see his daughter and talk about the family and the family drama that he lives in, which I think helped his heart attack in the first place. Everything was perfect. Just this time of friendship and the paramount importance of friendship that you can have with somebody that you know, but you don't know. We were up at Chautauqua Park, which is a very beautiful park in Boulder, right at the foothills. And it's only 3:30. We've been mostly driving all day. And Pat said, Mike, I'm tired. I need to go back. And I understood exactly what he was saying. He was just admitting to him that, yes, he was having issues. We went on back to pick up his car. And we shook hands like men and gave each other a hug. And when he walked away, I knew that we had some sort of closure, because neither Pat or I or any of us know when we're really going to pass. But if we did tomorrow, we would be okay with each other. We had said what needed to be said, and that was good. Our next story is a whole lot more fun, and it involves this lady right here. This is Susan, Bob Ransom's wife, and we're up at the Elk Lake Lodge. Bob's been talking about his lodge, and we all wanted to go to it. Little tiny backstory. When I married April, she had 2 kids, Bub and Serena. And what happened was, this is 1993, I moved on in, and Bub, who was 18, was moving right on out. He was going to Colorado to work in the ski area, the Loveland ski area. 2 years later, Serena was gone. We were empty nesters, and they lived, the rest of their, still do, in Colorado. Bub would get married and have 3 great grandchildren, but we never got to see him that much. We had a family that we were phantom grandparents. And I had this incredible desire to get everybody together and share time up in the mountains. And that was the Elk Lake Lodge. Everybody came on up, the kids, the grandkids, the siblings, everybody. And Bob was there, of course, and he had his son, JJ, who's still a member of our Toastmasters Club, his grandson, and his girlfriend. And folks, again, it's hard to say something is fun, and it's fun, it's experiential. We all had fun. Both families got along totally, and everybody went on different trips and hikes and down to the lake and went golfing with Bob. And I have to tell 2 little quick stories about Bob. Now listen, nobody's going to tell Bob that I told you these, right? Okay. I said, what was Bob like? And she says, well, when he was younger, everybody called him, all the ladies was called him Handsome Ransom. And I said, well, what happened? Yeah, don't tell Bob now. And what happened with Susan, she was actually a prosecutor in Golden or Jefferson County. And she met Bob. She left being a prosecutor and went to work with Bob's law firm, Ransom Law. And you get to know Bob, he's not really technically inclined. Well, Susan is Miss Busy and very, very organized. I says, well, what did you do? She says, Mike, I set up everything. I got all the briefs prepared. And what we did is we sent in the known as the closer, Bob. And you can imagine he was famous in the courthouses for closing a case and hopefully getting leniency for some of his murder clients. You know, that was the whole idea. We talked a lot about this. Folks, we had a wonderful time. The last one is a little bit more complicated. This is, I hope you can see this. This is the chapel in Grand Junction, Colorado. I married my first wife in 1977, and we went to Grand Junction just to go to this chapel. It's an SRF chapel. And it's there that I actually learned with other people how to do yoga correctly. The yoga is both theoretical and a working. And one of them is that I understood how to go in to understand that yoga is the modification, checking the modifications of the mind. And the actual practice is holding to the heart in this mist of conditions. It was a wonderful time. We were there, and then everything kind of went away. And then I would re-meet and connect years later with the owner of the property. And this is Earl Reed. We went and visited Earl. I hope you can see this. Earl is, in my opinion, an American sage. He's had the property, the chapel, it's a private chapel, it's his chapel, for over 50 years. And he's kept it going through all conditions and all times. And again, Earl and I reconnected, just like with my brother. We had a wonderful time talking about not only the path that we're on, but the people that we knew, the memories, and what happened with these people. Earl is 12 years older than me. He's had double hip replacement. He's definitely shaking right now. And I felt, again, it was a time for closure. I don't know if I'll ever go back to Grand Junction. I saw the chapel again, and I felt like I had come there to actually have that type of closure. And, you know, you always say, well, we'll see each other again. Well, we're probably not. The whole idea of the bucket list, everybody, is that if you have an opportunity to get things done in your life while you're still healthy and alive and well and have the financial ability, the time, the opportunity, do it. It's probably one of the most important things that you can do in your life, and it's just beneficial to you and everybody you're with. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Michael.